this meeting.
Jim, Mr. Oliver, thank you for coming. Just so the committee knows, Jim had sent me an email and asked me to send Chris Haggerty's current map. I was away. He realized I was away. Kendra just sent it for us. I also, Fran and Meg, I also just let him know that we have already asked our town manager to take care of those 3 action items, classifying and naming and adopting the road as an official road. Number 2, working out the boundary dispute with Oliver and Carol. And number 3, signing the quitclaim deed with McCarthy's. So, and I promise you, I will, as soon as town meeting dust has settled, we'll get on that.
Yeah, because I talked to Josh a couple of weeks ago after he had been at our meeting when some of that came up, and he just said he really hadn't had a chance to look at it and needed to get past town meeting.
Right. So, but if we haven't gotten back to you, please get back to us.
Well, indeed.
Because
It's gonna get something.
as a taxpayer, we've just spent that money on the survey. Let's take care of the things that need to be taken care of.
I mean, to go into Josh's office and
Put a bug under him.
you may need a few days after town meeting.
Yeah, I think he might.
This morning.
Probably not, having been there.
Now, so for structure of the meeting, we were asked on the recording group to not share the agenda first. So until we are ready to share the other documents and things like that, we'll just refer to the agenda. I have it up on my screen, and I think some people have
I've got
printed out, but just if you're not following along or need something to follow along with, I can send it over. To start the meeting with public comment, does anybody either in the room? So Melissa had her little hand up there, so go ahead, unmute.
Hey, everybody. Good evening.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi. Thank you for all of your work. I wanted to make a couple of comments about Browns Court Park. I wanted to bring your attention to the current users of Browns Court Park. If you had gone up there on any day after a snowfall this winter, you would have seen the park completely covered with tracks. There are skiers, walkers, dog walkers, and people playing with their dogs. I myself go there almost every day with my dog, or I also jog there when there's not snow. And I just would ask that, I know you have wonderful plans, but I ask that you consider to continue to accommodate the current users of the park. I could see some potential conflict when dog walkers and pickleball players are all there together in the park. And a lot of people use it. Every time I go up there, I almost always meet one of my neighbors up there. So there's a lot of people there. And so I just want you to consider, please, in your plans, the current users of the park. And I really appreciate all of the work you're doing, and I'm looking forward to potentially trying pickleball in the future. Thank you.
But I ask you what kind of conflicts you think there would be with the current users and pickleball?
Well, sometimes people play with their dogs off leash up there. Sometimes there are several dogs and people walking up there at the same time. So there are balls with pickleball, and dogs really like to chase balls. So I could see that maybe being a point of conflict.
The pickleball will be fenced. So theoretically their balls won't be out on the field. And there is a leash law where so dogs should be on leashes, not running free.
Well, I can tell you that many people play with their dog off leash up there. So
Melissa,
I just would like to give you a current view of what's actually happening up there right now. When it snowed, there were lots of skiers. So
there was a really nice front porch forum post. I don't know if you saw it, from Corey McKenzie, who's a resident of Burnett Court. I didn't even realize you could rent that for birthday parties. And so I thought it was great. It was more uses that I didn't even realize was being used for. But also, did you see the latest Chris Haggerty plans for the pickleball court?
For John Lynn's plan.
I'm sorry, John Lynn's plans. I apologize.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so if you drive into the current driveway as it is now, the pickleball, we're putting in the far right corner. And then we have cedar trees going around, correct? Far
Yes,
right corner.
So we're not putting,
Well, hopefully,
in the
maybe
proposal.
in the proposal. But that's where it's envisioned if it happens. But also in front of the pickleball, there would be like a picnic table there, hopefully, because we found Fran found a sewer pipe. So, and a picnic table right there, so people could sit while they're waiting to play pickleball, or just sit and eat their lunch and or whatever. Do you mind if we send it to her?
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, there it is. Can you see it? Can you see
Yes,
it?
I can see it.
Okay, so yeah, right down there, and there's hypothetically, we'd like an ADA. Help me out, Jeannie.
Picnic table.
Picnic table, so a wheelchair could go up to it as well, right in that area.
Mm-hmm.
These are
Cool.
Those are the trees.
here and here.
And I had one more question about the pickleball and the parking. Is this open to everyone, or will it be restricted to Richmond residents?
That's a great question, and it has come up. I'll try to answer with what I know. We went to a parking committee meeting, and they recommended putting signage up there. It's not going to be paved. We are going to have a rope there so that cars, know how far to pull in. But they highly recommended signage. And I know that recently the parking committee went to the select board about overnight parking, because they've been seeing some overnight parking in places. But they recommended that day use and no long-term parking, only people that are using the park. So I believe signage is in our cost estimates for the parking area.
Is she asking about the pickleball,
Oh, I'm sorry.
who can use the pickleball?
Oh, I was just asking if it's open to, I think you'll see vastly different usage if the park is open to everyone from anywhere, or if it's restricted to Richmond residents for the parking and or the pickleball. Pickleball has just completely taken off. There was a big piece on the news today about a new indoor pickleball center in South Burlington. So I imagine that if we build a parking lot and pickleball courts, we'll be drawing from quite a few neighboring towns as well for the courts.
Jeannie, I think Jeannie and Tess both would like to address that issue.
Well, all I was just going to say is I've been meeting with the Recreation Committee, and that's something that they have been talking a lot about how, because we see that as maybe a role that they could have, as how to monitor, how to help support groups, how to figure out what to do. And signage is one of the big things they also talked about. I don't know that we're going to have enforcers, but anyhow, it's on our radar and on their radar.
Melissa, just a little side note, Bridge Street has a 2-hour parking, and I've been there 25 years, April 1st. It's never been monitored or taken care of. Just FYI. Tess.
Yeah, there's really we have no way of monitoring who comes into the park. It is a public park. I can tell you from experience that I have played at several places, Colchester, Essex. I have never been questioned. I've never been questioned. And I believe part of ARPA is to get people out and moving, and hopefully it'll bring in some economic help to the area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I was just curious because some parks in some places do prohibit other people from outside, such as Shelburne Beach is one, where you have to have a sticker from the town to get in the summertime. So some towns do limit to their own residents only, or they charge. Charlotte used to charge for non-residents to use their beach and park area where there's horseshoes and things like that, if you weren't a resident. So I was just curious. I think you'll see vastly different amount of traffic depending on if it's open to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for considering the current users in your plans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Martha, you have your hand raised on the screen.
Yes, and I'm not going to turn the camera on because Marianne is jumping up and down on the trampoline behind me and she didn't want to be on camera.
Please do.
Okay. I wanted to thank you, Melissa. We too use the park for our dog. And one of the problems that we have is that the dogs off leash chase our little Peanut, our little tiny dog. We have him on her on leash, and they just intimidate when she's out there. So I think I don't know how we can enforce the leash law, but that's one of the issues I think at the park, that the dog is kind of treated like a dog park, and I think that's an issue.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other public comment that anybody wanted to have before we get started on the agenda? Okay. The next item on the agenda is to review, did we have minutes that we reviewed, and anybody have any comments on the last meeting minutes that Jamie circulated?
I think somebody sent me one typo, so I already
Okay.
fixed that. So
There's an E on Mary Claire Carroll's name.
that might have been it. but
Okay,
I'm not
okay.
sure.
That's the only one I found.
If there are no comments, does somebody want to motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Somebody second?
Second.
Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Everybody opposed, say nay. Okay, minutes
I'm
are,
going to abstain just because I wasn't here.
minutes are approved. We don't have our next meeting scheduled, so if we want to look at calendars and do so, for around 2 weeks from now. I had asked last meeting if we could move away from Tuesdays, if that's doable. So potentially then 2 weeks from now would be Wednesday, the 13th. Any thoughts or concerns?
It's Hale and Hardy.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Tuesdays? No?
Wednesdays.
Okay, how about a Tuesday?
No,
Kendra,
Kendra
I-
needs to
I-
be
yeah.
away.
Oh,
Can we
okay.
do Thursdays,
Sorry. I can.
the 14th?
oh no, Valentine's Day's already.
You want it to be Valentine's Day again.
So, okay, we're gonna have if everyone that works for enough people, we'll do March
Mhm.
the 14th, the Thursday at 7 p.m. as our next meeting.
7 to 9.
That's the goal.
I saw that you guys got out at 8:30.
8:30.
I'm like, oh my God, Denise, you need not to go to meetings.
On track. Okay, so that brings us to the next topic on the agenda is to kind of have some open discussion about the comments, emails, other forms of feedback that we received since our last meeting. I feel like there's been a lot, and so to give an ability for us to kind of have an open discussion about any or all things we want to talk about.
Do we just want to start going through the emails? And before you got here, I was talking to Kendra offline, and I apologize. I want to be totally compliant with the rules and regulations of open meeting law. And I noticed a few people sent the emails to all of us.
Which they can, we just can't respond to
Well,
them.
Okay,
Yeah, you can't make,
okay,
Individual, like as a group, you can respond to that person as an individual.
okay, that's what,
Not respond.
okay, perfect. That's what I wanted
to
to
the
make
whole
sure.
Yes,
Because
we
I'm
are
thinking,
fine.
okay, so
And notice, you can't make any decisions
Right,
via email.
Okay,
right. So that's why you can't then
perfect.
respond as a group. So
Okay.
if like, say,
Awesome.
we all got an email and I responded back as an individual, that doesn't break open meeting rule.
Right.
I didn't do that, to be clear.
Okay. Sure, no.
But
Perfect.
I could have and been in compliance, but that's the rule.
Do we want to just briefly talk about Mike Lawler? Mike is the president of the Richmond Community Band. He is the gentleman I contacted before I even did the motion about a new station alert. So something's happening out there. He's the gentleman I contacted on behalf of the community band way before I even did the motion for the whole $450,000 before the ARPA committee to see what he would like done. And then when Fran's article, which fantastic Fran in the Times Inc. and in Front Porch Forum, he responded to, which was, I thought Mike did a fantastic job, was very well thought out and brought up a lot of good points. So I don't know how the committee feels, but I think that we should invite him and or his representatives to a meeting once we,
Get there.
huh?
Once we get,
Yeah, exactly. Once we get there.
So who was the guy that was yesterday? They want to tear down the Bandshell. Oh my God, you need to spend all the money, should all go to the Bandshell to
yeah,
repair.
he,
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
Is he
He
part of the
lives up-
band too?
he lives
No.
at.
On Snipe Ireland Road.
Oh, Youngberg lives there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
The one
young,
yesterday's, yeah.
Yeah. He lives on Mountain View, doesn't
yeah, he's a,
he?
yeah.
Yeah,
I would say, yes, invite Michael and invite someone from,
Yeah.
Michael Lawler
Yep.
and someone from, Farmers Market. And who else like uses the bandstand on a somewhat regular basis? I mean, the Farmers Market have performers there.
Right.
The dance place.
They use it?
They put their shows on there sometimes.
Oh.
Since COVID and stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
You know,
But
when we
maybe
get
just
to
a
it,
general, we invite them, but also to be totally transparent with everybody who wants to complain. Why don't we just put out there on Front Porch Forum, we are going to be talking about the Bandshell such.
Please come and share your thoughts.
And
Mike will be here,
Yes. we can
representing the
answer
community
any
band,
questions.
blah, 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 will be there representing the farm. That's a great
Yes.
idea.
when we have some pros and cons
Right.
and some things developed.
Right. How's that sound to you?
that sounds good. I mean, I feel like we may be a little bit jumping the gun with what Chris Haggerty's, we'll get to that at that point,
Yeah.
but there may not even be an ability to
To do
do
anything.
this. So it's
Correct.
then spending time that we may not even have the ability to do. That's my own, and I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm saying that if we can't even do that, then it's not really worth
Don't waste
having
our
these
time.
people come in with.
But
their
yeah,
time.
put another forum post out there from our 3 Parks Committee saying, we did explore this option. There are rules that we have to follow, regulations, and for those who are concerned about our Bandshell being ripped down, it's not going to happen,
Yeah.
I
Just
think with
everybody-
what we saw with Chris Haggerty's survey, I think our sort of next steps is I think we have to have the conversation with Tyler to say, but what if we moved the perimeter up? Like, cause it's still maintaining the same amount of structure in the floodplain if you do our proposed or suggested or initial inklings of thoughts on this
Yeah, when we,
and see if you could move in terms of what the surface is, because it's still the same amount of space. We're not talking about expanding the space that a playground picked up or a structure in terms of a pavilion versus the bandshell versus, and so I think to me, that is the next step with determining our plan and even to go to these people to say it's even a possibility, because until we can figure out if it is a possibility, it's just a pipe dream,
Right.
honestly.
But
and
it would
Mike,
also be,
well, I was just gonna say, Mike's last email to me was a 2 or 3 sentences. Whatever you have to do, you do, in a way. And I will not complain. As long as you work with him,
Mhm.
his thought was, he's not gonna hold anything against us, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
have to do the best.
I
we
thought
can.
after the education that you did, I mean, I thought he was like, oh, I didn't know that,
Well, and that's what I was gonna say, no matter what it is, whether it's refurbishing the current Bandshell or a new plan, we could still have a Bandshell meeting to get input from
Yes,
all of these folks. So I
Totally.
think that we just,
And we send an
have to-
invitation to Mike, and I think we ask him to CC
Mhm.
his whole band.
Yeah.
And if they don't come, that's their choice.
And we can't, on all posts in the front porch forum, what we don't want to get into is
Yeah.
trying to
Mhm.
answer each one, and then you go tit for tat. And
Right.
until we have any kind of formal proposals, I printed them all out, I have them in my file. There was the one about adding art, which actually,
yes.
I have been to playgrounds in other cities where there are
Mhm.
sculptures and things, and so that was an aspect I hadn't thought of.
Was she willing to donate?
I don't know, but
Cause I
Yeah.
went on her website.
um, it would certainly be,
Does she live in
Yeah.
Shelburne?
no, she's
Richmond
Richmond.
was on Front Porch Forum.
Laurel.
It probably would involve, maybe she would volunteer to do this, to have artists submit a proposal
Yeah,
of installation in a park and whether they donated or.
I mean, she's
Yeah,
done
that-
some beautiful, I don't know if the type of art is called murals or whatever. She was in Metalworks when she lived in Philadelphia, but then when she came to Vermont in Shelburne, she started with murals and stuff. And,
so I think when we get to a point where we really kind of define what we're going to do with our part, that we certainly could invite invite her and say, well, this is the layout of what we have, and how do you think you could, put some art there, and, do you have funding, and.
and what I just would like to talk briefly about, just to get to plant a seed, doesn't have to do about any of the emails that we received. But I was thinking, the more I'm learning about the conservation fund, I'm wondering if we could go to them as Richmond taxpayers, residents, and ask them to help us preserve and conserve the Bandshell, if that's what we choose to do.
If we get to that point.
If we ever get to that point, why couldn't that fund go to help preserve?
It could.
So I think that we need to, when that comes around, maybe start educating that commission as well, and see how that goes.
Can I ask a quick question since I wasn't here last time? And I didn't see any minutes. Did we get the survey back for the
We
rise?
didn't for that meeting. We got it since then,
Okay,
but not preliminary,
Okay.
very
You're
preliminary.
talking about what Chris did
For the
over
Bandshell,
Oh, for the Bandshell?
right?
Yeah, okay.
yeah, where well,
Very
Yeah.
preliminary.
to move that and to move, if I'm just curious if we got the survey back to be able to move the.
So I
Not
read
very
Chris
preliminary.
Haggerty's emails, and maybe Kendra, Fran, somebody can help me understand what does Chris still have to do? So he was so thorough in Brown's Court, the town of Richmond hired him to look at the floodplain for the Volunteers Green. So they hired him again, which is great because the work that, in my opinion, the work that he did at Brown's Court, he lowballed it in my opinion, but anyway. So I didn't understand, Fran,
I think what he's telling us is, and I forgot, that's one email
I
I
did not
must,
see
I
that.
printed out his map, but I don't
want me
think
to
I
pull it
printed
up?
out his email.
Do you not want me to pull it up?
Sure.
Okay.
Was that, in effect, that the platform isn't high enough to be considered out of the code.
you share that with Fran. Right there. He had mentioned the 310. And I don't understand that.
That,
And then is it out of it's not out of the
Basically-
floodplain, but is it out of the floodway, or does he answer that?
He says it's in the floodway, that it would need to be essentially, it sounds like 6 inches above the bandshell floor to be out of, like, to be then able to do whatever you want to do essentially, because it's not in a flood anything, I guess, it's my understanding, but,
So, but I guess my question, so would it have to be, the whole structure would we have to begin at the 6 inches above the
that's where the
concrete?
ground would have to be.
Okay,
Just to give a visual, I guess, is why he said it
But
like
the
that.
whole before, I think what he's saying is, and this is, we're really not onto volunteers green yet, but that,
Moving.
I think we need to meet with Tyler, the planning commission, the recreation commission, and the town planner and Josh, and see if there's any way we can use the top level and add some. And if we have to add, get,
Right, can you move it from another location on the property to there? Can you, what if you're just taking a structure that already has a structure and moving that space, that pocket up? All those things are what kind of has to be.
Tyler is pretty strict in saying that the structure, in order to consider call it maintenance, it has to be the structure that is there in place. So, and that's where I think we need to sit down and see if there's a way to work with.
Or is it
plan.
doable to get the DRB to approve that it'll have a lot less impact up on the bandshell
Yeah,
space
Right.
than it does in its current location?
but we need to sit down with more than just Tyler,
Mhm.
somebody from the planning commission
Mhm.
who, they're the ones that wrote the regulations.
and with Chris as well.
Yeah.
Mark is on
Um,
our clock.
right after town meeting, the town itself has to figure out, I think, what do they want to do with volunteer screen?
Totally. And it's just not smart. It's not prudent to keep, or to possibly put a new playground there when it's gonna be wiped out.
Not sustainable, and it's
It
all
totally,
about sustainability these days.
But if there's a way that maybe the planning commission has to recommend some changes in the regulations that allow us to do something up above, because what I'm hearing from Tyler is that the town's regulations are stricter
than,
Right.
than FEMA's.
than.
Correct.
That's what the FEMA guy told me too.
Yeah, so that it seemed prudent to change those regulations somewhat.
Mm.
That would be in our best interest, but.
Right.
So
So-
to me, right after town meeting, there really needs to be like a round table.
Yep.
And it's not just Tyler, it really needs to be somebody from the planning commission who wrote those regulations.
So putting this out there, do we, I guess going forward, long-range planning, after town meeting, do we want to do our presentation to the select board? Like ASAP on Brown's Court and then move on to volunteers, get one out of the way and then move on?
The other issue we have is that their approval in full like of this group is that we do it by
Dece-
March, right? The
That was-
approval of this committee, and they haven't formally approved any extension. To be clear.
That's true.
I think
So
you
I
can
think
get
that they will get it, but I think that we have to get in front of them to do that. I just
Right.
don't want to be saying, like, yes, we have all this. They're gonna let
Yeah,
us.
because they never have said you have, they said we have to spend the money and earmark the money by December 31, but they've never given us an extension. That's absolutely
But
true.
we sort of have hinted at their meetings
Right, and they
that,
said it'll
totally.
be fine.
and got
They didn't vote on
the impression that the March date was not necessarily firm.
Right.
I guess, and also thinking about when you said, individual parks, I mean, to me, like landscaping and the tree work is like a big deal for all three parks. Like, I think we talked a little bit about last time about saying what would we absolutely not be able to give up? And
Yeah.
so, you know, if we
I think
broke it
that's
down
a-
separately,
That's the hesitation with presenting one of the
Yeah.
parks from our previous meetings is that if you don't know the full picture amounts, if you present one, then you're locking in those funds as being used for that. And therefore it limits whatever else you're so choosing to do. So I'm not against presenting the one park. I think we just need to have a better idea of the total budget picture before doing so.
Okay.
Is my personal.
Yeah, because you could use all the money on one park and not have anybody.
Exactly. And but I also, again, going back to Brown's Court, I just feel like we've worked so hard there and we've done such good things, and it would be so nice going forward if we could say, okay, we're definitely doing pickleball courts, we're definitely doing the bocce courts, we're definitely doing the picnic table.
Which.
but
is
I don't
easy to
know how we
say.
can say that if. oh, is that
Right,
what you're-
exactly. It's
Yeah.
easy to
If-
say until if
Yeah.
you say that takes up current numbers, just tentative, not including parking lot, you know, is $252,000, not including parking lot. So then you add in the
That's at
parking
Brown's
lot,
Court.
yeah, then you say
Right.
that's 300,000.
Yep.
We don't get the grant
Yeah.
for the playground, then playground's out of the picture.
Yeah.
So that's part of the problem.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
it may be anyway.
Is that then you kind of put yourself in that position. So
Yeah.
unless we are prepared to say, yep, that's the money. And that's why I have the concerns around the concept or what we're thinking of doing with moving the playground, and, you know, that we have to kind of wait till after town meeting day because everyone's busy and things like that. Then we kind of move that down the line. And then if we're immediately trying to also get Brown's Court approved, what if we so choose that our recommendation is a pavilion or
Mhm.
all this stuff, then you've already like tied up
All that money.
that
Mhm.
funds. So we kind of would be limiting ourselves in our proposal if we take one and the other one isn't close to being ready. Maybe not presentable, maybe not ready to go, but you would have close enough tentative numbers that you feel comfortable saying, yep, we'll have, this is the earmark for this park, this is the earmark for this park, this is the earmark for this park. We're not there yet if we have no idea if we're talking about what we're talking about doing at the Bandshell or a pavilion. You know, we have ideas of what the playground's gonna cost.
So
These other pieces.
I don't want to be that negative Nilly, but on the other hand, if we get together with the town of Richmond with planning and zoning and DRB and, you know, the surveyors, those changes in those documents, Fran, I mean, it's going to take 6-8 months.
It will, but it will be either we are going to move forward because they're going to try and make these changes, or we can't do
Right.
anything.
Right.
And so that's the decision I think has to be made by the
Is can we do anything at Volunteers Green?
Is
screen.
there a possibility for it to even?
Other
be
other
changed? If The
than
answer is no,
fix the Bandshell and fix that area.
Yeah.
because then we have to have the bigger conversation of if we leave the playground as is, where it is, then what? Do you put $200,000 there?
Yeah, and see, that's a
Makes no sense.
question that is, I think, beyond us.
Right, and that's why I feel like we can't make the decision to say,
Mhm.
go ahead with Brown's Court, present it as soon as we're done with town meeting day,
Right.
if they so choose to let it remain a park.
Mhm.
Mhm. So your comment though about getting an extension in writing would be really important.
I think so.
But yeah, absolutely
I
would want to do it as all three because.
I would feel
we can
better-
Say bocce is on, we've done all this, here's the information, we know we can't fit it in this plan. If you find somebody who,
funds it.
yeah, then here it is, it's all ready to
Yeah.
go.
do
So we
go
just don't know
ask
what-
For an extension?
So
Yeah,
I think so. I think I don't know how you guys feel. I think we should get on an agenda right after town meeting, ask
Mhm.
them for an extension till December 1st. We may not need a December 1st extension, but we asked them that. And I say December 1st because we have to by
You have to have
federal
allocated the
rules
money
by December 31st.
Okay, so we hope to maybe by June or July, but
Right.
But
Put-
give us, so
put
we
that
don't have to
date.
come back again.
yeah, yes, okay.
So, yes, you want me to call Josh and get us on the agenda?
Yeah.
I think we will get some
So do we
pushback
need a
on the
motion
December one
to-
date, if
I don't
that's what
really
you're
wanna cut
proposing,
this
just
out.
as a.
We got a new
Being
board
on
after
it.
this, select-
We hope.
but maybe we,
Maybe November one would be better.
November 1, okay.
Give them 2 months if we so.
And then maybe we
Calendar.
don't do the reorganizational meeting, maybe we wait one meeting past the reorganizational for the select board.
When does I don't, I
It's you-
apologize, I don't know when. that happens.
I don't have
Well,
the,
it's usually
the first meeting after town meeting is their organizational.
yeah, but there's no problem with asking
don't-
them in.
Okay, perfect.
Mm.
All right, so I'm gonna add, we're gonna put it on the agenda and hopefully we all can show up in force and we'll know more information too. But extend our, and you know what I'm gonna do is go back in the minutes and actually get Jeff Forward's motion
Yeah.
and then the date he made it, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah. Okay. Extend timeline.
Maybe you
For-
can give me those words for the minutes.
I will,
then,
I
too.
will, I will.
And, we're asking the select board for a formal extension to the date.
November
to
1st.
Present our proposal,
Right.
right?
Present our, yeah, present our proposal by.
And we can explain to them that there's still so many unknowns at Volunteers Green regarding the floodplain.
Well, that and the housing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
Great.
puts
floodplain
something
housing,
to there.
hopefully.
Well, that should,
Cross your fingers, Fran. Call me. Call me town meeting night. It's free calls from Puerto Rico.
I'm not.
So, and I just want to mention that should we so be able to get that extension, which we anticipate, then it gives us more opportunity to, after town meeting and after we figured out the zoning situation, to offer this kind of discussion that we've been being asked to do, which is a public forum type presentation discussion in which then you could invite the people with it, like, I forget all the name, Mike and all of these
Yeah.
people who have reached out to us or provided feedback, and give them an opportunity to come and see what we're planning, have the discussions, get more of the public outreach in that way, in a more kind of concentrated way that we've been asked to do. It gives us that as an opportunity. And then following that, be able to take back feedback to the group, have a meeting or two and discuss and decide how we feel about the feedback and how it fits in, whether any of it is changing our decisions or not, and then be able to present a well-rounded plan to the select board.
Should we, since we're going before the select board, should we also ask for them to take care of the 3 items? Talk about the 3 items?
3 items of
The
ground
McCo-
score.
oh, yeah.
Adopting the road, the Oliver Carroll, come to an agreement with them.
I don't know that that goes before the select board from us per
Right.
se. I think that that's a Josh needs to deal with that, in my opinion.
But
It's
but
our
they're things that we
recommendation
found,
that they-
but it's things we found.
I understand, but I also I think that that'll be handled by Josh. I think he was
We can
here, he
recommend
agreed.
that
The 3 steps after all the information.
That in
I
the
think we
course
should
of
nudge
this-
it. I think we
Yeah, in
should
the
nudge it.
course of this, we've found that these
I
couple of things.
Just worry that then we will get into pseudo presenting
Mhm.
something that's not prepared to be presented.
I mean, it's,
that we're-
we don't have it, we aren't presenting any options. We're just saying these are things that the select board and the town need to take care of in order to clear things up and make Brown's Court, whole.
Yeah. Martha, do you have a question?
Yes, the question is, you're asking for an extension for something that the deadline has already passed?
No,
Nope.
so we used it December, so let me clarify, we used the December 31st as a date, but it's December 31st, 2024. So to explain, we have been given by the select board a pseudo deadline, we'll say. It was a deadline initially, and then we've been given at subsequent meetings the go ahead that we have a little bit longer than that, but not been formally approved. They gave us a deadline to present to them our recommendations for this money by March, is what they said. March. But the ARPA money itself has to be allocated, meaning we know what we're going to spend the money on, and we've approved it by the select board by December 31st of 2024, for then the projects to be done that were approved to be done by December 31st, 2026, I believe. Don't quote me on that last one, but so we have been given a shorter period of time than what the full allowance was, in case we weren't able to come up with a good plan that they liked. They could then reallocate the money to something else. So no, our deadline has not passed. We are asking for an extension in advance of it passing.
Martha, in meetings, they've said, oh, that's not a problem, but they've never officially voted on it. And they've never officially put it in any of the minutes. So we're just a little nervous about it. So we want him to make it official on record.
So why have we been talking about March 1st?
Because that was the deadline that, March
They
31st.
said March.
Oh, they said March.
31st?
March. That's the deadline they initially gave us,
Okay,
or they could take the money back.
okay. I for some reason, I believe that the deadline was the 1st of March, like tomorrow or whenever 1st of March is.
No,
No.
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
So, okay. That kind of circulates around. I apologize for us jumping around in the agenda, Jeannie.
But we
okay.
covered a lot of
But I felt like it was time to
correspondence.
cover the
Yeah.
public outreach at the same time. I should have put them together and I wasn't thinking.
I would like to say that really we got 5 or 6 comments
Right.
Thank you.
that some offered, good thoughts.
Mhm.
But that's not an uproar
Mm-mm.
about what we're
No.
doing.
I, personally, the article that I wrote for the Times Inc. and that was published in Front Porch Forum, I probably received 15 emails and all of them were positive. Thank you, for doing what you're doing, and you go, and all were positive. So that felt good.
Well, and I would say the most of the ones that we saw were not negative. They were very
Thought-
kindly suggestive
Yep.
and well thought out. And so I don't want us to make it sound like I don't take most of them as negative. They're very, constructive and are good things for us to think about. Some of them we are not prepared to further discuss, like we said about the Bandshell. But none of them, I would say most of them anyway, were not in any kind of negative light.
Right.
Was just, did you think about?
Right.
This is my, my opinion, and
Yep.
we all,
Should we
so I
just,
appreciate all the feedback back that we did receive. And
Yes. Right.
should we quickly touch on, Mark, you sent us an email, just giving us an update on what your committee, or maybe Jeannie or Sherry. And we see that you have a meeting coming up on March 5th of the Recreation Committee. I don't know if Jeannie wants to do it or just update us about, I guess I'm curious, have you heard anything about the grant?
No, Sherry's on there. Sherry would also, Sherry,
if you
maybe
wanna talk.
anything about the grant at all? Or
Um,
what the actual
ye-
deadline was?
Gary, I was having trouble getting on anyway, so.
Yeah, they were supposed to notify us in February, but our experience is they're always a little bit late on that. So I was gonna do an update on March 5th. So there's a website or a portal I can go into to see if there's any information. And there might be a contact person I can call too to see if they've changed the deadline for their decision. So I'll hopefully have that information by next Tuesday, I think is when we're meeting. So, and I can share it with Jeannie and she can share it with all of you. I don't think I have all your emails. So my expectation is there's a delay, but if they have made a decision, it would be good for us to know that now, since, you know, you're trying to figure out what's going to happen with the playground. So it would be good to have it sooner than later, and probably again another reason to delay, you know, doing a presentation about the playground, since we don't know if we have the funding yet.
Thank
Great,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the update.
Yeah.
Does the playground, does the rec committee have any thoughts on putting the playground, a new playground back down in the old location?
Well, Mark, we talked about that at the last meeting, didn't we? We thought it, you know, was definitely a concern to put it back where it was. Do you recall exactly? Weren't we all kind of in the thinking, boy, if you could move it to a higher ground, that would be great. But I won't speak, Mark, unless it's been a while since we met, so I don't always remember correctly. But was that your take, that we thought it was a good
That
idea?
was the general take of it, is sure, if we can get it up out of the floodplain and accomplish that, then yeah, that's a go. But it doesn't sound like we're out of the floodplain. And it's probably some confusion too, because I think the letter from the engineer said floodway, but I can't imagine that that plateau is still in the floodway, because boy, that's a pretty high elevation, relatively speaking, to the rest of the town. Unless the entire area is floodway, which seems crazy, than all of Esplanade. But yeah, long story short, yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, to simplify the zoning, yeah, move it up and out and it's done. But I don't know if we want to totally forego improving the playground, even if we can't get it up out of the location where it is. Which sounds like that might be the case. I don't know how zoning would interpret the current predicament we're in, whether they would consider that a new structure or an extension. I haven't been able to really get clear interpretation of that. So hopefully we've got a planning commission meeting next week too, and we can have a little talk about that and try and find out more about floodplain.
Mark, could I ask a question?
Yeah.
Would you have to recuse yourself from planning because you're also a member of recreation, or would they let you do both?
Well, no, I'm sure I could do both, because it's not like it's a personal interest that
That's
I
true.
have. It's,
Volunteer board.
it's just another committee that I serve on. So
Right.
it's not like I'm gonna get any personal benefits from getting the playground put back or not.
Serviced by the select board, so
My understanding is that you could put a new playground down where the old playground is.
Yes.
And be fine with zoning. But the bigger question is it financially prudent to do that? And that, I think, is the question that is probably above us.
I think that's a bigger discussion to be had for sure. My personal take on it, is yes, it is worth it. We've had, last year was a crazy year. Does that mean that every year hereafter is going to be like that? Are we going to totally forego the entire volunteers green to any kind of structure whatsoever just because we had a bad flood year? And 3-4 floods out of the last 15 years. I personally don't see it as significant an impact, but I agree with you, Fran, that it does need to be a bigger conversation. But I think another conversation we could have in the short term is what does the interpretation of the zoning mean to putting it back where it is or putting it up in the flood plain on the plateau, or is that the floodway on the plateau, which would mean that there's no distinction between putting it up on the plateau and putting it back where it is if it's all floodway. So it's a conversation that I would love to have with planning and zoning, but they don't really want to have a conversation until the rec committees get on the same page with what we're asking of them. Basically, it seems like the impression I got is that they're worn a little thin with all the different questions from different perspectives, from different members, from different committees about different questions. So we, as separate committees, independent of the planning and zoning, need to find out, okay, what are the things we want to know about Volunteers Green? And then, and only then, once we've come to consensus about what we want to know, should we talk to anybody in planning and zoning and not waste their time, so to speak.
Mark, can I ask one quick follow-up question? So this meeting that we would have to finally figure this out, I have been jotting notes down as you've been talking, and I have planning, zoning, rec committee members, 3 park committee members, Chris Haggerty, the surveyor, and a select board representative. Can you, either of you, Sherry and or Mark, see, or our committee, anybody else that might need to be at this meeting? Pete Goslin. Anybody else?
Directly,
A FEMA representative needs to be there?
I don't think it would hurt if they had the time to come by, but like we've said many times, the FEMA zoning regulations are much different than the Richmond.
Yeah, they're way more lenient. FEMA's way more lenient than Richmond.
So, I mean, at a certain point, we could push up against the FEMA regs, but right now, I think there's such a gap between what Richmond has written into law and what's allowed by the certainly by FEMA. It may be interesting to see what the state is saying about them. State DEC, if they've got a flood plain representative without bringing in the feds.
Okay.
Now, Sherry, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that one of the things on the grant was about flood recovery as one of the priority areas. And so, I mean, in the context of thinking about, different things that you can do to, to prevent things from happening, erosion and things being swept away. But I think the way we handled it in the grant is that we said that there would have to be public outreach and discussion and experts that would come in to discuss, what are some ways that we can avoid having July and December happen again. I think when we wrote the grant, I think the December flood had already happened. So we did write in something about, the idea of, we need the experts to come and, help us figure out if it stays where it is now, is there something that can be done? And it was much later after the grant was submitted that you all came up with the idea of considering putting it up on where the Bandshell area is. So I think that's a great thing and has a lot of promise, but I think that we can be flexible enough to figure out, okay, how are we going to make this work so it is sustainable? I still think there may be a way to do that where it currently sits. But you need all the heads together to figure it out. So
So
I just
this
wanted-
meeting would be good for us and also good for your grant proposal.
yeah,
Great,
yeah, yes, definitely. Thank you.
thank you.
No.
Thank you.
Mark, you have your hand back up?
I did. I just wanted to follow up to Denise's comment about collecting this group of interested parties in the meeting and whether we should try to have a smaller group meeting, maybe with some PC commission reps and rec and three parks, just about what it is we're asking, what it is we're gonna want to know before we go to the select board and especially the planning and zoning department themselves. If we had a smaller group that find out what are the questions we want to know, what do we want to try and accomplish. So
Okay,
I-
that makes sense.
I don't know if maybe you guys want to talk about it some more. We can we've got the rec committee meeting on Tuesday, and I don't know, Sherry, what the agenda is filled up or not. And then we have a planning commission meeting on Wednesday where we could maybe bring up the idea of this mini group consolidation, see if we couldn't get a couple of volunteers from planning to meet with, you know, non-quorum groups of all of us so that we can have a discussion. But if we talk amongst our different departments or commissions and
Right.
sort of get our own commission ideas of what we want to talk about, then we can all come together in a small group and
I printed out your agenda for for Tuesday night. I personally can't be there. I'll be counting votes, but you have us on as item number C, Three Parks Committee, to review our minutes, to updates from anyone that attended our meeting. And then Mark Planning Commission meeting report. So could you explain to your committee, both you and Sherry, about, you know, the possibility of a smaller meeting than coming together with a larger meeting and asking those questions so that when we come in this room, I would assume with all those people at the table, that it's a one and done, hopefully. The other person we forgot on that meeting was our town manager. So, but I think that's a great idea, a smaller group, get the questions vetted, and then come together with a bigger group. And, but I don't know if anyone else, oh, you're gone. So, do you think any of us need to go to the meeting on, Tuesday night? Since
I think we're okay. I mean, that's why I think Mark and I both jumped on just to see where you're at. So
thank you, we appreciate it.
Yeah, we
Because
could.
I will not be able to be there next meeting, so.
Yeah, I knew that, Jeannie, so I said, well, I better listen.
Good, we appreciate it because I'm excited about the big meeting to get some questions answered. So,
But by the end of next Wednesday, all three of our committees will have and we can discuss amongst each individual committee the talking points that we sort of have so that our representatives can then come together, maybe even at the next three parks. I'm not sure, you guys meet so frequently that
Yeah, we are scheduled.
most
Monday.
opportune time to get together with at least the
The 14th. So Mark, our next scheduled meeting is March 14th.
a Thursday night.
At 7 PM. So 2 weeks from now, plus 2 days or 1 day.
And Mark, can I have you put your other hat on just for a second? Do you know, I mean, I saw Virginia's comment regarding the planning commission regarding Brown's Court. Is your committee going to make a formal statement for town meeting, or do you know?
I don't think we are, because we're not meeting again before,
Okay,
unfortunately. It never materialized. We talked about a lot of stuff, but we didn't.
Okay.
commit to a committee perspective,
Recommendation.
unfortunately.
So back to what we were discussing, could we make our next meeting be that meeting where someone from recreation and someone from planning could come and we could have that smaller group discussion?
I would certainly hope so, but without, the planning commission, without meeting with the planning commission first and asking them, I would like to think that there would be a couple individuals who'd be willing to come on the 14th and discuss, but I can't at this point, unfortunately, commit to it. We can
That's fine.
But can you propose, are you willing to propose it when you go to your meeting and
Heck yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the plan.
just
And-
let us know in advance so that we
Yeah.
put it on an agenda item appropriately? And especially if you're gonna anyway have a quorum, I've gotta like warn it as,
Right, that's the thing is we'll want to avoid a quorum of
we'll have a quorum of ours, because it'll be our meeting, so you'll just have to
right.
like inform your group to either.
So
if you're
you
going to
could
create a
represent
quorum, you let me
planning.
know.
Sherry could represent rec.
But if you're gonna create a quorum, it's okay. I just have to warn the meeting when I send the agenda out as such. I
Right.
just
Right.
have to,
And I think that's something we're gonna have to run by Virginia, because I don't have the authority or even
just let me know when you've had your meeting.
I'm not
and what
even
you're
certain
thinking.
what their take is gonna be on it. They may not want to take that up at all right now. We've got the planning commission itself has a lot of pokers in the fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
you do.
Mark.
I think this is very important and time sensitive, but I'm only one of 5 or 6 of the members.
Well, thank you both Sherry and Mark for attending our meetings. Like we've said, we appreciate the collaboration and your willingness to.
And we'll
to
keep our fingers crossed for
be a part of.
the grant acceptance.
Yeah, I'll email you guys if it's a
Please
yes.
do, please do. Good luck, both of you, and thank you for everything.
Thank you
Okay.
guys.
Thank you.
So we've kind of jumped around on our meeting. So, I think my opinion is we go to the costing of this and start talking there, because I don't know, well, overall, because I don't know that we have many actions on the next item, where the summary of action items, we don't really have anything now, except for if we're missing pieces of the costing, because we don't until after town meeting day, right?
Yeah,
So
we're
that-
kind of in limbo
Could-
until town meeting.
Yeah, we could prioritize
certain things being
certain
coming off right
things.
now.
This is like,
Yeah.
say, pickleball courts
Yeah,
and bocce courts.
We can start prioritizing.
Signage.
Things.
Um,
So,
And maybe water fountains and picnic tables come
After.
after.
Yeah, parking lot. is the
so, okay,
biggie.
I'm gonna share my screen, which is, I distributed for them. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, since we are we like tabling, are we finished talking about volunteers green? I just wanted to do a playground.
I think we are.
Oh, do you want to go back?
Do you want to
That's-
go back to the playground when we get to the pricing? Cause I did,
No,
or do you have a different
yeah,
update?
something, I just wanted to let you, yeah.
I think you can go ahead. I don't know.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know that I did contact Justin Mansfield from Pettinelli and let him know that we'd like to continue to work with him as the playground plans develop, and he understands the situation. He was actually one of the people that walked the plateau with Pete Goslin,
Mhm.
and Pete had this idea.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so he knows all about, and he knows what the current playground area is, so he said, he thanks us very much and that he will be as flexible as possible, and he's thrilled to work with the town in any way that he can. So then I let the other 2 people know that, that we chosen someone else, and they both responded with thank yous and to keep them in mind for any future projects. So just really wanted to just share that that's what I did.
Well, I feel like I should probably clarify that, like, we didn't choose a group to work with. We chose one to present as our plan. But then they will have to go out for RFP, and so they probably are gonna
Yes.
reach back out to those folks, and they could choose to go with one of those folks that we didn't recommend, just as a,
Okay.
I believe that's proper.
That's the.
Okay.
Okay. And one
That's the
question,
procedure.
is
Yeah.
this the ADA table or no?
That is that the one from from Justin? Yes.
Yeah, he
That's-
said
yeah.
an 88.
Yes.
Okay, so
That's
that's
one.
the ADA table.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Okay.
there's several versions.
I love the benches.
I have it in color.
Oh, I love the benches.
was actually-
Perfect.
Yep.
So yeah, just to be clear, like
Yeah.
that's our
Okay.
position on the playground. is
Okay.
that We want to recommend
We
a
will,
group,
yes.
because, you know, because of all the reasons we listed at the
Yeah.
last meeting we
Okay.
discussed. But that we don't ultimately kind of,
it's not really our say.
they have to
Okay.
then go out for a bid.
Mhm.
And they could decide that based on the bid. So far, the group that we chose is the lowest bid,
Right.
period.
Right.
But should the other one so choose to like fight it and like change, like, we don't have this. We can recommend,
Okay.
and that's what our costing is doing, is we're recommending
Gotcha.
companies to go with, estimates to
Yeah.
go with, et cetera. And then certain things over a certain dollar value that I'm not fully aware of have to then go out for bid,
Gotcha.
and they could so choose to use a different one, but this is our overall recommendation.
The
So we do have-
implementation of this is, I don't know.
We're gonna need a
but-
clerk of the works.
Who's gonna handle that?
Did we
Go ahead,
end
Megan.
up getting any more bids on the parking lot?
So I never heard from, help me, the people down by the dump,
Banshee, Hutchins?
Hutchins. I never heard from him and I never heard from Chris Spence. And
We've got 2 quotes.
so we've gotten 2
And then
quotes.
we didn't specifically get a pricing from Pete at this point
Right.
on the work.
We got one from,
Eric,
we did get one from Eric,
yeah, and,
John Scott.
John Scott.
Johnny
So,
Scott.
Did you ever, were you gonna talk to Pete about the quote?
I can reach
parking.
out to him. I can.
Just for materials,
Material and.
I would say
He did-
materials.
He did a very nice one for the path in which he broke out, like if you were to pay for the labor, if you were to pay for, so I assume he would be able to do something similar, mention the path one. And he could do it as that if they,
And-
mostly they're saying that they're going to only charge us for the materials. But in
Right.
case they were curious
So
how
if
many
we
hours.
could get that, that
whatever.
would be great.
I have a little time off tomorrow morning, so I'll see if I can catch them before they head out.
Head out. Awesome.
Okay.
Lisa, thank you for joining us.
Okay, that's Brown's Court parking lot. Okay, I'm
So
now.
I haven't reached back out to Spence and I think I'm gonna wait.
Really?
Think I shouldn't?
No, if they seem to.
He seemed very excited about
So
it.
I would reach out one
Okay.
more time.
One.
I will call him one more. Yep.
Just so I don't cut you off, Jeannie, did you have anything else you wanted to share parking lot update? I don't wanna
Nope,
move along.
nope,
Okay.
nope.
Okay, then I will share my screen. I've taken into account, I think, all of your emails that you recently were sending to me, but if I missed it,
Can I
I
have the favor
apologize.
after? You don't have to do it tonight.
I've shared this, if that's what your question is.
You sent it to
Well,
us?
not this most recent version that
Okay.
just has like a few tweaks, but yes, I will reshare.
Okay, perfect.
And to be, as a reminder, don't email the group back about any of the, you can email me directly and I can make the
Yeah.
changes. Don't forget, don't wanna get in trouble.
I was gonna say, you could give that without any numbers to Pete as a guide.
Fine. So, okay, we sort of went over some of this while you were away,
Yep.
but I'm gonna just brief on how this works or how this
What he was
looks.
planning
To
do.
if you raise your hand, please speak up because I've just had to minimize you so I can see the screen. How this spreadsheet works is it's broken out by park, by project, and then I give the costing of it, the company, any comments on that costing, and then if we got additional quotes from other companies, they're listed over here. Then there's a section to the right that is the maintenance of those projects and what would be required and how much that would cost and how frequently and any quotes on that. And all of that is then in this right-hand section. But each of these is broken out then by park and then in total, to then get to the whole thing. So as you go through, if you look at, say, this area here, it brings you to 2 options. You wouldn't be able to do both, and so they're boxed in together because it's a one or the other. And then when we make decisions as a group as to which one we want to go with as our recommendation, I will then remove the dollar value from the costing of the one we don't choose, but we'll keep it in here as a total discussion of what we've talked about doing for
Can
projects
I
and what we
stop and
narrowed.
ask a question?
Yes.
Can't we at this meeting make a
Yes,
decision?
we had talked about last meeting, cutting some of these out. We wanted to do it when we had a larger group
Yep,
because we had a
okay.
barely quorum. And so yes, that's what we're
Perfect.
hoping to do
Awesome.
right now.
Would you like a motion, Miss Kendra?
So I want to go over the things that
Okay.
are kind of in the well, one or the other option first. Then we
Okay,
can start having discussions on after those decisions are made, then additional items to remove. So as a summary, this total does not include, and I'll highlight them, the parking lot costing, because we didn't want to present individual people's quotes if we weren't
Exactly.
sure which ones we were going with.
Yep.
In all fairness, it doesn't include portable bleachers or cement bases for any of the places we've talked about, such as we wanted to do cement bases at Brown's Court, the Round Church, and potentially, I don't think we can do them in Volunteers Green, but if that so choose, that's not in here. It has, the bike rack is here.
but it's. Rake?
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
No, if just.
I didn't.
Perfect.
And so then other items, concrete at the Brown Church, and then we should have all of that. And then there are a lot of items boxed in Volunteers Green as a result of our previous conversation in that we don't know, are we going with Bandshell, pavilion, moving things? If we move things, then we don't need the flower bed maintenance. You know, these kinds of things are
Mhm.
all boxed as
They're all
separate
boxed.
considerations.
Yeah, that just
go
quickly
ahead.
on Volunteers Green, the engineers that the town had hired but haven't done
Bandshell?
anything, were waiting to get the elevations before they did their work, but it's silly to have the engineers look at the bandshell.
Yeah.
Um,
For now, until we know that we're gonna keep it or not keep it.
So,
or-
while we're on that subject, and I just, because it just came to my head. Does anyone know if we received a bill for the structural engineers yet?
That's
Oh,
what
they
she's
haven't
talking about.
done
They
it?
haven't done their work yet. That's what she's talking about.
The structural,
engineers, Gary told me they needed the elevations from Chris Hagerty.
okay,
So, but
perfect.
why have them
Exactly, totally,
do any work defining what needs to be done on the bandshell?
exactly.
How we know we're
totally,
gonna stick with the bandshell.
right, perfect.
And so there's no prices in here. The only price we have is we had gotten a quote for beams, $12,000 or $13,000. And again, if we don't do the bandshell, then that gets removed. But we also don't have prices on the full scope of work if we keep the bandshell. We don't have prices on if we do a pavilion instead. So those are the main projects that we kind of don't have any costing. And
And-
this is still yellow, by the way, with benches, because Jeannie mentioned the quote we've gone with includes that, but if we choose a different quote, then it's not included. But with the quote we have, that's included under playground, but I've left it yellow in case we alter playground people. So we have the
Gotcha.
prices on that, just, it's nothing if we go with the 191.
And I'm not sure as of the very last flood, if those benches, maybe you know, the ones with the cement bases that were washed out, I don't know if Pete just moved those somewhere, if they're even salvageable, you know, so.
The,
'cause-
of that I don't know, but
Yeah.
any chances of putting any brand new extra benches in
Right.
Volunteers Green are.
As a no.
Right.
Right, and that's, yeah, he even had included the cost for replacing or resetting the ones that
Right,
before the December flood that were already leaning and so he was looking.
or the
at
ones
those.
that were like down in the ground,
Yeah,
where they're this
yeah,
far off the
yeah,
ground,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that was included in that price of the
Yeah.
191.
While we're talking about budget, I just also want to make sure that everyone heard that I had asked John Lynn to send us a bill so we could get him reimbursed. And he told us our committee would not be receiving a bill. There would be no bill from him.
So,
But I still think at the end, we need to write thank you notes or
Mhm.
do an article in the paper or something about, all
Yeah.
the free work that John has done.
that's amazing.
So that's gonna save some money.
So that is a quick the quickest of run through of how our budget currently sits and what it does and does not include. As you maybe saw, as I kind of rolled down through, we are way over budget. And it's not even including everything. So yes, it would be good to narrow, because then we can focus our attentions on getting this kind of as a whole plan. So the first thing that obviously we kind of started on is back up here at the pickleball court versus multi-use courts. Now, to summarize, we've kind of talked about this both here. We've talked about this at select board meetings. We've prepared different discussions. We've gone to different experts, I would say, who have converted multi-use type courts. The other piece that you'll see is in orange is I want to mention the other aspect of pickleball courts that got brought up was whether we would be doing a tarp or covering to help maintain longer the pickleball courts. And I want to mention that I don't remember if everyone was on Tessa's email, but Tess mentioned that she reached out to other pickleball groups who regularly maintain said courts, and they don't use these tarps. But I wanted to put it in here for the group to decide on what we want to do. And so that's kind of the prefacing conversation around pickleball versus multi-use and what that entails. And now I'll open it up to the group to kind of have a discussion on what we want to do.
One thing, Kendra, on Vermont tennis court surfacing, he had a range of 110,000 to 115,000.
Well, I would propose that we drop multi-use court.
I second it.
Yeah.
So that's all in favor. Do we want to individually vote, or do we want to all in favor? How do we want to approach said vote?
Consensus? I just a consensus.
Okay, and if we find that it seems close, we can have the individual like the select board does. Okay, so based on our, we didn't have a very detailed discussion, Jay, but we've had very detailed conversations about this.
We've all seen the
had
quotes.
quotes. We've had open forums where we've talked about this and kind of assessed whether a multi-use court made the most sense. We've expressed our concerns with managing a multi-use court and who would do this, and as well as the amount above the pickleball court that this would take from our budget. But again, a lot to do with who would manage said multi-use course and switching it out and scheduling and all of that, in that we feel that the best use of the space is potentially the pickleball court option. So I want to emphasize that this may have been a quick conversation on this meeting, but it has been talked about in full at previous meetings, that minutes are there and that recordings are there. So
And the recreation committee has those, that's
Same
same
discussion.
comments.
So I
too.
just want to very openly mention that before we take our vote. So all in favor of choosing to leave the pickleball courts on our current budget and remove the multi-use courts at this time, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay. Hearing none and all having ayes, we will remove the pickleball court from our current,
No, remove the.
remove the multi-use
Multi-use
court
court.
and maintain pickleball courts on our list for now. We haven't voted that we're forever keeping that, but we voted.
And now, since have chosen the pickleball courts, I would like to hear from Tess on her opinion. Do we need a pickleball court cover? What is your recommendation? Since to me, you're the expert on pickleball and you've done so much research.
I never heard of the court covers before until, because everybody that I spoke to, as far as like the Colchester people, the Essex people, I was asking about yearly maintenance and what had to be done in the fall, in the spring. And basically they said, it would be nice if you had it cleaned up. In other words, brushed off any
Yeah.
debris and stuff. Take down the nets. Now, some of the towns will take down just the net. Some of them will take down the post,
Right.
the post as well. I contacted the people from the tarp company, and there were a couple of options. You could either go with a 60 by 120 tarp, And that was $2,259. The problem is it weighs 315 pounds.
Oh, my
Okay.
lord.
The 60 by 60, we would need two. That price came out to be $25.45 and 98 cents. That weighed 157.5 pounds. The 30 by 60, we would need four of them. That would come out to be just about $2,500. That weighs 78.75, 78 3/4 pounds. I then, I did all of the calculations and then I sent out an email and information request form to the company. And one of the things that I didn't know was when these tarps are folded, what would the dimensions be? Because we've got to store them someplace. And unfortunately, the person who responded said that they didn't know what it would be when it was folded. The only thing she could tell me is that when they were shipped, it would be on some kind of a pallet. And she gave me the dimensions of that pallet as being 84 by 23 by 23, which so these things are very clumsy.
Okay.
Deal
So
with.
do you have a recommendation for the committee?
Yeah, my recommendation at this point would have to be follow the lead of what Essex and Colchester are doing.
Perfect.
That would be mine. I also contacted Jeff Zangla to see if he had any experience with them, and he had not. He has not.
So Kendra, do you want a recommendation
So yes, I
or
think
a motion?
yeah, if Tess is recommending that that's what we do, then do we want to take a vote on what the committee decides to do on removing this and moving forward with the budget? So is somebody,
I only just have a question. Are you putting those things over in a side just
Yep, they're here.
somehow
See-
that we discussed? Okay. I was
well,
just
not the
more-
full detail of like our discussion.
right.
but No, the amounts
Yeah.
are here in this comments. So when I remove them from here, I'm adding them to the comments
Got it.
column.
Okay, thanks.
So would you like to make a motion, Tess, or would you like me to, or
Go for it.
where are we? Yeah,
Sorry, I
put me
scrolled
back
down.
up.
Pickleball.
I make a motion to remove item line number 7 regarding Browns Court Park, the pickleball court cover in the amount of $3,500 as the research that test stores of the committee has done.
Seconding.
Second.
So all in favor of removing this line item from our current working budget, say aye.
I,
All those opposed, say nay. Seeing none, we will remove that line item from our working budget. So then we continue to go down. And I'm going to continue to scroll. If people have other items that they see as I pass to the ones that I know are more discussion based or can be quickly removed.
can you go to the
Time.
baseball fields on Volunteers Court again, on Volunteers Green?
Yes.
I just have a question. So the baseball fields, 56,000. Is this money
So
that
this
is
is-
being reimbursed by FEMA or on and
Okay.
above?
So the prices of this are what is above the amount FEMA is willing to pay to put the baseball fields back. Now, what FEMA is willing, what Josh presented is what FEMA is willing to pay is for the clay to replace the clay that was removed by the flooding. And so these additional costs are made up of a few parts, and so these can be up for discussion. At both this park and the other park, there are parts of these that he provided. He provided at a middle range what he thinks they need for topsoil, which is about $5,000 per field at Volunteers Green. I want to clarify because it's different at the softball field because nothing is supplemented. And so he needs $5,000 for the field itself, $12,000 if they want new fences. So he said that if we so choose and want to discuss, there could be just replacement to parts that need to be replaced, posts and things like that, that could lower this per field cost. Right now it's sitting with, like I said, topsoil and fences. He also proposed, there are 2 fields at the Volunteers Green that do have dugouts. And so there is some work needed to those dugouts to have them better drain cleaned up and things like that, which is the 2,500 seen at the end of these two numbers here. And there's one that doesn't have dugouts, and he gave prices if we wanted to do dugouts, and we kind of were like, maybe if there's money, but probably not, and so left it with this. The same pricing kind of happens up here with the softball field, so I'll click into
At
that
Brown's Court.
at Brown's Court.
That's
And
a
so
lot
we
of money.
Did the same thing.
Mm.
That one has no money supplemented, so it is $30,000 to fix up the field itself, clay, etc., and $12,000 for fencing. He priced in again, if we were going to do dugouts, what that would cost. We kind of preemptively, as a group at that meeting, even though it was a small group, we didn't formally vote, so we can vote on this
Mhm.
fields piece as a more formal vote. Whether we want to do anything different with either of these, either bringing them down, saying, no, we're not going to do new fences right now, or removing them. Adding whatever we want
know,
to
it-
discuss as a group.
And it's just a comment, and it just kind of irritates me that because of the maintenance neglect for so many years, now this is what it's costing us. And it makes me angry because it's something that should have been put in a budget for maintenance for who knows how many years.
I think this is high amount. for-
There, to be clear, there was no formal
Estimate?
estimate. This was Josh's best estimate, to be clear, just to, go
Go
ahead.
There are fences up there
Mhm.
for the softball field.
So what does the committee think at this time? Is there an action at this time, or is it a continue to think about?
What's our bottom line thus far?
Just a quick question, on the fencing for, Brown's Court, is that the outfield?
No,
No.
Okay,
just the
okay.
fencing behind the plate. And so certainly, like, this is just my opinion, that if we are maintaining the softball field where it is, then it certainly would be more doable to use what's
Yeah.
there. I would defer to, if we so choose to not fully replace, I would think we would have to go back to Josh to see what needs replacing, if we just wanted to fix what needs replacing. He didn't mention when not necessarily him not mentioning doesn't mean it isn't the case, but he didn't mention that there were like specific needs in replacing the fence, anything at Brown's Court. He didn't know at the time, I don't think they'd assessed post-flood when he presented this to us, if there was pieces needing replaced at Volunteer Screen.
I think there's work needed on some of the fencing at Volunteer Screen, definitely, because
Mhm.
Of the
you
flooding?
got, but does it need new fencing?
I know.
I think he really hasn't priced.
Yeah.
Getting somebody in to repair any of the. fencing.
And I think, I also don't know fully the 30,000 from him on this particular park, on the Browns Court Park. What that means, does it mean it's taking it substantially better, like, than it's been ever? Like, are we bringing it up? I don't know that. I don't,
See, and I can't even remember what's there. Jim, do you remember what's there?
No.
Isn't that awful?
mean, it
We've
looks
been there
like
how many
that.
times
I
recently?
think it's I don't know that it has clay, is what I don't.
No, I'm
my
not talking about
question mark
I'm
is.
talking about the fencing.
No.
The
fencing's there.
Well, there's
Well, the-
fence there, but I really don't know what conditions and.
But it's
It's
all
not
that
falling
old.
down. by
Yeah.
any-
It's not all that old because they only moved, somebody's raised their hand. So, oh, Martha, you want to chime in on, that's,
Yeah, couple of things. Thank you. The softball field, the fence is fine. The seniors go out there and play in the summer, and then the fence behind the plate is in pretty good shape, and it goes around. The clay in the past, what's his name? I'm trying to think of his name. Jack Lynn has brought in the clay. So there's a lot of volunteer help to maintain that park. And there's just clay for the base, the running paths. But it's not maintained at all. It just grows every year with weeds and it's a mess. So it needs maintaining and it needs to be cleaned up, and the clay comes in, and it will have some cost for that, but the field is fine. The fence is fine. There are a couple of benches. I don't know why we would need dugouts, but the benches are fine. Looks good to me.
So in your opinion, based on your view of it, the fencing looks good. There looks like there needs to be some clay to get it back to a good
Yes.
position.
And they have to do that every year, as far as I know.
And that's natural. The
Right.
grass is gonna try and grow up.
Exactly.
And just rain is gonna
So then I
erode it, so.
think the question mark becomes okay, speculative, since we haven't voted and this is just if we are saying that there could need to be some clay, if that's part of normal maintenance, then in my opinion, that's not us. But that's just, if that's already somebody does annually, every other year, whatever.
I agree.
But I don't know that I'm saying fully take it off right now. For me, I'm personally saying like, maybe there's some follow-up discussions needed on what is asked of this committee, but versus what is normal maintenance and whatever budget normally pays.
I guess I'd also like to leave some money in for fencing in case there's some post or corner posts that need to be replaced and or repaired.
When I walked
It didn't
up
look
at
like
Brown's
that.
Court,
It didn't look bad at all.
that at all. I would leave some money in
volunteers
to
green.
do something on the fields, but not a lot.
Right. Okay.
So is there a proposed
Amount.
thought or amount that we'll start with one park versus the other? Whichever people feel more comfortable kind of discussing. Do we want to talk about specifically this Brown's Court one?
You want to put it back
And-
up?
Let's work
Oops,
on the
sorry, I
Brown's
keep-
Court. Yeah.
I keep unsharing because we were asked not to continue
I
to
know.
share all the time, so I apologize.
That's
Remind me if folks aren't seeing it. Let's see, share again. Okay, so the current amount is the 30,000 for field work and 12,000 for fencing. So is there a proposed lower amount that we want to allocate and say this is what we're currently willing to budget?
Do you remember what a load of clay was again? I don't.
Well, again, now, if that was what Kendra just said, regular maintenance
Right.
was the clay. Oh, is that what? you
Are
were
we
asking?
thinking of deleting the whole box
I would,
No.
or leaving like
leave
10 grand?
10,000.
Yeah, 10,000.
So is that what, do we want to take a vote? Is that what, just to get a general consensus before we vote, does somebody want to propose a different amount than 10,000 as the discussion?
I'm good.
Good. Then do we want to, he doesn't say specifically as far as I can see how much,
Should this be something we should ask Josh about?
I think we're not saying get it, I think we're just saying for now, we would want it to be put at that amount. Consult with Josh, say, is that gonna be sufficient to do,
And
what
see
would that buy?
might
What
come
would
out of
that
the
get?
recreation budget or his budget for maintenance.
Cause it could be that they have a budget that they can supplement if they wanna choose.
And
To bring it up.
the little league has some money of its own.
Yeah.
So for now, what we're potentially talking about is moving this line item down to $10,000 and following up with Josh as to what that would look like.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So does somebody want to make a motion?
So I move that we
Second,
drop it down to 10,000
All those in
For-
favor
for field work.
for field work.
for Brown's Court?
Yeah.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Hearing none, we'll move that to 10,000 and I will change my note to say to talk to Josh.
And when you talk to him, can you ask him? I mean, I guess I don't want to be stingy, but on the other hand, why does all the maintenance stuff have to come out of our budget when that should be coming out of a town budget?
And that could be what ends up, if they normally are already budgeting, I feel like this committee can reconsider even, this isn't
Right,
holding
right,
tried
right, right.
and true that we're going to keep this
Mhm.
on the budget,
Right.
it's just,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna put Josh.
And if they haven't done enough work in a while, then part of the ARPA money is to bring.
Bring it back to,
up.
yeah.
But
And we
if they
can ask
already
him that.
have a planned regular budget.
Yep.
That's what the question kind of becomes. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's partly, does the town have some money and does Little League
Have some money.
So, okay, then let's scroll back down and talk about the volunteers green fields and what we want to see here. Right now, that's currently sitting at $5,000 of field work, $12,000 for all new fences for all 3 fields, and
Is the total
2,500.
3 fields?
3 fields is 56,000, yep. And so those all new fences, again, the backstop fences, not outfield fences as far as I was aware, from Josh's quote, and 2,500 for each of the 2 fields existing 2 dugouts each, so 4 total dugouts, I guess is 2,500 each for 5,000 for dugouts. Any position we want to take or we don't have to at this time on the baseball fields for volunteers green.
That amount is over and above what FEMA
Correct.
would repair. I just.
FEMA is willing to pay for the clay.
Hmm.
They said that they still needed some additional topsoil to write how the
Mhm.
fields are supposed to sit, and that was the $5,000 per field. My personal thoughts are we do a similar thing in terms of not paying for all new fences, but leaving something in there for each field for potential replacement pieces,
I agree.
Yeah.
posts.
So I think also keeping it similar to the Browns Court softball field, so I don't know how you feel, I'm willing, because this has 3 fields. Browns Court has 1 field, am I correct?
Correct.
So I guess I would say 35,
30.
well, but we know some of the fencing needs to be replaced here.
Yep.
Right, right, because,
But they also have the clay already paid for
Yeah.
by
oh,
FEMA.
that's true, that's true.
They only need 5 for each field for the field work itself. So then if you say 10 still, you've got 5,000 per field for fences. But if it becomes
agree. I
different,
forgot that.
what,
It can
What
always
we
be
feel about-
adjusted.
well, if we give a lump amount for the fields and it comes out slightly different for now, then it could be that it's adjusted to be, okay, we're gonna do the work they want in the dugouts.
Or some of it could be
Or-
volunteer work, or some of it could come from the Little League
For
fund.
now, again, we're not
Yeah,
making final decisions, but if we leave it as a lump sum of about 30,000, which is 10,000 per field, then it leaves the open ability for it to be, well, this field needs new fences, this one doesn't need anything for
right.
fence wise, so then that money can get used on the dugout.
We ready for a motion?
Sure, I make a motion that we include $30,000 for the 3 fields, improvements to the 3 fields.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of leaving $30,000 in this line item, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Seeing none. We'll mark that as such. Okay. And both of these will be discussed with Josh to see
Mhm.
what he feels about that it's paid for and such. Okay. The other item that I feel like should be discussed is the fence at the round church.
Oh,
And
What do you think?
I would let Fran talk first and then
Fran, do you not want to talk
If
about it?
I can talk and I can
I'd rather
Do a
have
vote.
it come
ab-
from,
abstain. Fair.
Fundraising?
no, I'd just rather have somebody else.
Okay.
Make a,
No, I don't mean to say make your, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you wanted to explain the fence concept.
well,
Sorry.
I mean. it's
I
a-
didn't
it's-
mean your opinion.
Well, it'd be wonderful. It's a nice to have.
Mhm.
There are probably other things on this list that would give us more value.
I think that's a great way to say it. I agree.
Mhm.
You know, we'd love to have it, but,
Sure.
and it would really dress up that green, but
That would be such a fun fundraising
Considering-
project.
where we're at,
Mhm.
On the other hand, I see Round Church as being a state attraction. And anything that draws tourists into our town has to be a benefit economically. So I don't know, like. if
Fran, what
events would
about
do it, but it just-
historical grants?
yeah, we as the Historical Society have not focused on that yet. So there may be,
Okay.
you know, we just haven't focused on
Some-
that.
Okay, but I think it's a great idea.
I would say the only concern that I have why I kind of want to like not get into it too much is just, I think it creates another area where you're gonna have very polar opinions on. And I think we already have some projects like that. And so, I won't state like I have opinion personally, but I just know that that was one that will have very polarizing opinions. Should it be closed off? Should it be open? What does that do for the parade? And I just think, like Fran said, there's other projects that have
More value.
more current need, current desires, current, broader impacts in terms of more people using, more people impacted by. I do, think it is an attraction. But I think that we would also get some very polarizing opinions on it. And it would divert from, in my opinion, the project as a whole would be a little bit difficult. So I will put it to a
You
vote.
make a motion.
Thanks. I would take the motion that for this committee's purposes, to take the round church fence off of the current budget.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
Fran?
If anybody wants to abstain.
Bye.
Oh, hold on.
I'm in favor of it.
Fran, and I don't know how the committee feels, but I would love to get some of the stuff going so we could get on the list of like the tree removal and the stump clean out and the tree and branches removed. I mean, is there a reason why we can't lump all those together for the 3 parks? I mean, that's a known.
But it all changes based on what we decide to do on Volunteers Green and what that all entails.
But no, we're still going to remove all the trees. Remove
Our
the dead
original-
trees.
Our original quote, so if we go the route of moving the playground and moving the bandshell, then all of those trees up there
They're gone.
are gone.
Gone.
As opposed to pruning them and cleaning up a flower bed.
We could.
I mean, I'm just
We
thinking
could-
about the weddings upcoming at the
we
Old
could-
Round
We
Church.
could, the tree removal and branch removal
And-
cleanup at Round Church.
And Brown's
Brown's
Court need to be
Court
done.
Are given.
I agree. And why
Yes,
can't we
right.
get, are you happy with the people you've got estimates from? And I mean, I would definitely hold off on the cedar trees.
Yeah.
I would definitely hold off, like you said, up at Volunteers Green on the top basin. I would definitely hold on those 2 projects, but I would love to see the landscaping and all the stumps removed and the dead trees done at the Round Church and Brown's
But we
Court.
can't
But
get
you're
any
saying
of that
now we can't-
approved
yeah, it has to
unless
be-
we present
has
it
to
to
be
the
presented
committee.
to the
So it
select-
doesn't really matter if we keep it
But
on
what
the
I'm
list or
saying,
not
we're
keep it on
going
the
before the select board. Why not ask for, and then ask for just, so we can get in the lineup for the spring?
I think you're gonna get, if you start presenting pieces,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna start getting them wanting to present the whole. And if the whole isn't ready to present,
Yeah.
then you're opening up
Mm.
them asking questions about things that are not ready to be discussed. And I just think that that's my opinion. The others can have.
How
different
long are
opinions.
the
I feel
quotes
that way
gonna be
too.
good for?
Well, I got them last fall. But the other thought would be if they
I'm gonna go-
would allocate money aside from the 450,000 to do the safety.
maintenance?
The safety. Maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
In total, we'll say the two known parks.
So, okay,
It's a
again, here I
total
am.
Of $7,500.
So here I am again, trying to get, this stuff going. What about doing all of Round Church Green? What about doing it and getting that done?
Because we don't know, like right now, we just deleted the fence. I
Right.
mean, I don't.
You're
think we're
then
there
commit,
yet.
here, I'll represent, I'm sorry, I keep unpresenting because I'm worried about.
So what are we
Um,
talking about if we did we can't because some of the quotes were all lumped in all three parks, right?
No, they're separate.
Oh, they're all
They are-
separate?
They are,
Yeah.
they are.
So
listed.
right now, how it sits is the stuff we're talking about, including the benches and the picnic table at Volunteers Green is 13,500.
Round Church or Volunteers?
Sorry, Round Church, Round Church. And if you were talking also the tree stuff for Brown's Court, that's another 1,500,
That's the lowest quote.
the lowest quote. Yes, the separated out quote. There was another quote that was a lump sum quote that was higher than the total of the separated out quote, so we took.
Well,
But-
the lump, it's really not a lump sum. It's broken down into, he broke it down
Mhm.
into all three. He gave.
Vermont Tree
Vermont
Service
Tree
did?
Service, for Brown's Court, he had $4,500.
Maybe I didn't notice that.
And Volunteers Green,
Oh, you're right.
So
There's
Fran,
not
were
a
you
town-
just? Oh,
This isn't a town thing, like, they don't have.
they
a
don't have
maintenance
very
budget?
much money in their tree budget, like $1,000 a year or something.
So Fran, were you just saying though that we might suggest that the select board look at that? Separate from from the ARPA recommendation and say, here's some work that you need to, that really needs to be done. And then that answers your, rather than putting it in with this presentation, when we ask for the deadline, say, and here's something that just came up, that we're really thinking of, this needs to
And I
be
can,
done quickly.
as a select board sitting there, I'd say, you're here the day after town meeting and we just passed a budget and now you're asking us for blah, blah,
Well,
blah money.
but there's more ARPA money.
I haven't been used yet.
All the ARPA money wasn't
allocated
allocated.
yet.
is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I thought Jeff took the last bit.
No, that hasn't been approved. That's what the most recent submission that
So
they.
When you asked him for
The reporting,
recently you asked him.
yeah.
And there was money not spent.
Mhm. I think it's on, wasn't it on the town? I'm on the town website. I thought we saw it there. Oh, let's see.
Mm. I know.
I thought you asked,
I did. I asked Josh for an accounting, I thought.
yeah, and I thought there was
You both are on the ARPA committee, is that the?
No.
Yeah, but I mean,
So this doesn't include our 450. And this most recent one posted out there, it shows is not even enough for our 450.
No, we're already in there, aren't we?
No,
what is the,
look at. there's
what's that miscellaneous recreation items requested by recreation committee then? Is that the playground?
one.
the
This is supposed to be
separate-
450.
What? Wait, something's wrong.
But so if that bumps up to 450, then there's still money.
See, I thought they were out of money because see the 64,000 that they took for the sidewalk? They had to go back and they asked for more in the town budget because they ran out of money. But what's the 249?
That's what I just, said. What is that?
I don't know.
Requested by recreation committee. That seems like
That's
that would have
us.
been,
I think that's us, but I think the amount is wrong.
well, I hope so. Well,
Do you want to email about that? to me?
Absolutely. Hold on. Don't move.
This is right
so
on
I
the-
guess back to the question is,
no, the recreation committee had asked for money for the playground.
I think,
That's what that 249,000.
And is the remaining ours?
The 447.
Yeah, it didn't.
That's what
But,
Denise.
but it's
said.
so weird. We're not even listed in there. That's why it's
I
so,
don't think this is.
I don't think that's
this is
correct.
correct.
But I think you follow up with
I definitely will.
Josh and.
I'll be
figure that
going
out.
to his office tomorrow morning.
I thought we were,
Hmm.
you sent us one.
That's what
I
I'm
thought they
going
did too, and that's what I thought I was pulling up.
And I guess I didn't print
I'll
it.
find out what the 249 is and
I'll see if I can find it. I don't want to be in my.
there's
email.
already separate money.
Okay, here it is, right here. February 12th. Oh, no. I have to send it to you. So I'm going to send it to you because. Okay. Kendra.
Oh, I have it. No, I have it.
I just sent it to you too, babe.
Okay. I didn't want to like be searching
February
through my
12th.
email with up on the screen.
Yeah, February 12th.
Kendra, would you mind going back to that screen?
Yep, I will. I will. I just was finding the email without.
I
fully
sent it to you too, babe.
sharing.
You don't want to share your life on the screen?
Who knows? Could have an email from my kid's school saying nothing more interesting than that, but still. So, okay, this is the screen I was sharing, but let me pull up the one that we got emailed because it's slightly different. It's different colors and everything.
Mhm.
This one says the 450, but then doesn't have the 250.
Okay, wait a minute.
You See at
Additional,
the bottom?
wait.
Six.
See the item, additional Bridge Street sidewalk, northern section engineering? That never went before ARPA. That never went before the committee.
But do you see at the bottom?
206. Yep, that's the Fran's point. Is that
Okay.
there's still money
Gotcha,
in there that. So,
gotcha.
That's something, I mean, those are things that should be done no matter what,
Yes.
whether we come up with any kind of proposal that they accept or not. Those are things to make those, at least two places safe. The amount of branches that came down on, around Church Park, and they're still sitting there.
That's,
So
how do you
You
feel
want a
about?
motion to?
is this, is the suggestion to ask for separate money, more money? What is,
More money,
I would say, or separates that they could. do
separate
now.
and more we can do immediately.
so separate that is then not us? So then you then have
That
to
is
go through the
additional.
ARPA committee. and
No,
propose
because
it?
they're not doing that
I'm just
anymore.
asking the I'm not-
Okay, no,
I'm
they're
telling you, I
okay.
don't know.
No, they're not doing that anymore, obviously, because all that stuff is, there's so much new stuff in there since we voted on everything.
So now it appears that the ARPA money is being directly
Approved by the select board, correct?
So then the request would be to go in front of the select board to suggest that these quotes that we have for things that are, how do we separate it? Like
Safety.
Safety for the
Safety.
town, that the landscaping should not be included in our
Exactly.
Recreation.
improvement budget, right?
So
Should
the
be-
pieces, if we're looking at a total or an amount, would be the tree removal at Brown's Court, the almost
The
Yes.
grass,
grass replacement Christmas tree or no?
yes,
Well, that,
We'll
that's
leave, we'll leave
that's
that,
state,
600, we'll
not-
leave it there.
Yeah,
that's not
We
me.
don't wanna get,
right.
and at least, we'll say it's gonna be at least $3,200 around what your volunteers green stuff for regular tree removal. There may be additional tree removal that's separate that we need if we suggest, is that? So the amount we
That's-
get to by move my screen is $10,600. So
that's landscape safety.
that's all the pieces.
Yeah, tree. Yeah, tree work safety. Yeah, you're right.
Can you send that in a separate document?
Yeah, because more than us are aware of it.
Exactly.
If someone gets hurt. And I just don't understand how I guess I'm new to this, but how the town can,
Mm.
the town and not upkeep anything.
Fran, so have you picked a person to do it? I mean, do you have somebody, I mean, you've the
They
one,
have to go out to bid.
No, and we,
I don't think it will. I don't think it has to go out to bid because it's not over the, isn't it 10,000?
Wasn't the level like, I thought it was 6.
Like 5 or 6, but
Break it up.
yes, I mean,
Seriously. Yeah, break it up.
So it could be the other price that we had, let me finish writing that down, tree
mean,
removal
it
was.
depends
I
who
have it
you
up,
pick, the
This one
numbers
was
are a little,
15.
if
so
you pick
we're
low and
gonna say-
maintain, his numbers are lower than, say, Chris Filoni's numbers, and so the lower numbers were in there.
So this one was the higher amount of the Vermont Tree Services.
Yep.
Quote here. So we had budgeted for the lower amount, but if you're that, and again, these prices are old, so would the proposal be somewhere between a range based on where current quotes come in, where updated quotes come in?
Yeah.
But I would think he knew that the work wasn't going to be done till this spring. I think he would honor that quote, don't you think?
Oh, they probably would, but you have to give them the,
Yeah.
I mean, if, I guess we would broach the idea and then get go back and
Well,
say,
If you don't mind, we would like you to be presenting, just the fact that you have the quotes in front of you and explaining everything.
So
I
the
would-
question would be right at this meeting that we're talking about, presenting about extending our deadline, or at a meeting after that?
No, same one. I would not keep going in front of them.
So you're suggesting that it be like kind of 2 parts.
First
extend
part,
our-
asking for this.
You think you start with
Additional,
that?
I think asking for
I think
this.
we start with extending our deadline.
Yeah,
It-
go with it.
Okay, number one, extending the deadline.
but we feel we know enough about this.
Right, we want to get on the spring work line. We want to make sure the quotes are still valued because they knew we weren't going to be doing the job until the spring. And we want to make sure that the safety issues are taken care of. And the beauty of all the, what someone said something about all the tourists that come here in the spring. And the draw that the Old Round Church has.
Because if they get it approved separately, they could go ahead and do it
Exactly,
That,
first thing.
right,
So I think,
otherwise, we're talking a year from now.
exactly. And that's, I think we explained to them, let's get it done now. And there are pieces, and we can point out the pieces that we aren't tackling yet, which will come out of our 450. But this is a given, this is known, this is safety, this is a safety issue.
So what I would like to do would be for me to look at the numbers again.
yep.
Yeah,
I
totally.
think we provide like whatever we want to present in terms of a range,
Yep.
an amount. I don't think we have to decide that the here and now. I just want to mention that there were other
Yep.
different ranges.
But when we present for the select board,
We
it
present an amount in it or
and
or
we
small
present
range
it
or-
just like this, a sheet of all the work that needs to be done at all 3 parks that we can't do anything at Volunteers Green. Is that true?
Well, there's some of the trees that have the dead branches.
Oh, that need to
wanna
be
take-
trimmed?
Dead trees.
Well,
There was
there
2
are
dead trees,
dead
no
ones
matter
that
what.
I mean, there are trees that, if we were to go up on the platform, would get removed.
So then you don't want to trim them.
Do we want to do anything?
I'd probably leave Volunteers Green.
So then
So
the
just
amount
do
becomes-
Browns and and Browns Court. But Browns Court, there's so many felled trees up there that need to be taken care of. It's a mess.
I would almost, give the range and
Then that brings you down to
then you'd
7.5.
want to walk again with the contractors.
Right. Good. Yeah, I'd say we go for it. Get some of the work started.
And not
So-
in our budget.
And not in our budget.
Do we need to make any approval? For now, do we?
I don't think-
I would just make a motion that we bring, around Church Park and Browns Court Park, landscaping, tree removals,
Safety.
Draft.
say the safety issue, landscaping safety issues to the select board.
Everybody in agreement on that?
Yes.
Okay. Keep it moving. So that's, I was just rolling through again, so we've made some, we've left for now. I know that there's some discussion around whether we'll keep in benches and picnic tables
Mhm.
and water fountains and that like bike racks, these kind of lower priced aspects.
I would even,
Um,
well,
Go ahead.
I would even go back up to the bocce court and
Yeah.
let's just have a discussion about, that's a big ticket item. It's, it's a wish list. I mean, I'd love to see it, but if we needed to take something out that's a bigger
Mhm.
item, I think that, you know, that's an item that we could. Like I said,
I'm glad that that you brought that up. I've been hitting some stumbling blocks with this whole thing, but I think probably middle of January that I had my discussion with a Richmond resident, and he volunteered to draw up some plans. And I've been basically calling just about every week, and it's not coming through.
Mhm.
The very first people that I contacted before John Lynn recommended Bluestone, it was the place in Colchester. And he, right around the same time that I started talking with my drawer, the person from Colchester texted me and said, I am so sorry. He said, somehow your request got lost in the shuffle. And since then, he has been coming back to me and saying, any progress on, on the plans? And I've had to say, no, he said, and the gentleman who volunteered, in fairness, he is working and he had
Mhm.
some other commitments. So I feel like I've been.
Does he know of anybody who could draw them?
Well, see, that was the other part that kind of surprised me. This is the company that put in the bocce courts at Oakledge.
Mhm.
So but I think the person who was drawing them had other plans as far as instead of wood sides to put up cement and that sort of thing. I'm wondering, should I ask this guy for a quote just based on what he did at Oakledge?
Yeah.
And let's not.
Yes. I like the thought of bocce. It just gives another recreation
Yep.
activity for someone over 50.
The other part of it, Denise, though, is that I think the senior center has been using just the field for
Correct.
field bocce. There's more maintenance to this bocce court than what I initially thought. You have to have like one of those big rollers,
Yeah.
and I thought it was just, when I first started talking to people, I thought it was just at the beginning of the season you rolled it and that was
Right.
it. But no, I mean, if you had some rain or even heavy duty playing, that you would have to be rolling.
Oh, so you'd have to have it come more frequently.
I think.
Have you had any conversations with Tanner, the young man that came with the other gentleman
Yeah,
to our meeting?
I haven't, because I kind of got the feeling that the other gentleman was really excited. He was a Richmond resident. And so now I feel like I'm in an awkward position of bypass,
Yeah,
I,
but
But
he, to me,
but all of that
seemed
is,
very excited. Tanner did.
yeah, but all of that aside, I think for me, the main concern, it's the maintenance.
Yep.
The maintenance of
The,
it.
the people that are, if it's a roller, would be left there.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna use the courts. one of
You-
the
you
first things
take care of
I
it
do
before you start.
is hit the roller and roll. The people that are really into.
Right.
hockey would,
You have it available and they maintain it before they begin their
Yeah.
match.
But the other thing I don't have a feel for, it's how many people in Richmond are excited about
About bocce.
it. That's the other,
Yep.
that's the other piece.
Well, instead of two courts, put one court in. and then you'll learn.
Yeah. You can always add another.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
I think, yeah, I think his original thought was is that by doing two together, that it was just one basic quote with just the,
I think, yeah, they felt like the per quart cost. So I don't think that we can just divide the estimate in half. I think that it becomes like
Right.
somewhere in the middle there is what my understanding is. But the other thing I want to just also re-mention is that if we so choose to not include that, it does sound like there are potential future opportunities with that, in that there's a bocce club and they could sponsor and all of this other aspect that I don't think we're prepared to get into or maintain, or don't have somebody who's like, yeah, I want to be the liaison Richmond bocce ball club founder or whatever. So it does sound like if we so choose to not keep this on the list, that there could be potential future endeavors with adding it, should we ensure that potentially we're leaving a space for it, like not setting up the layout in such a way that it could never happen in the future. That's just something I also want to remind folks of, given our conversation with Tanner when he came. Other thoughts?
I would want it there as, the next thing that gets done after pickleball court.
Yeah. I would like it to be left in personally.
So.
And
think that-
I think that,
I'm just,
we could reach out maybe to Tanner and say, we don't wanna, but did Lewis bring Tanner here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
He,
Well,
Tanner was more interested in helping us get a
Build a club.
club started,
okay.
not
rather-
necessarily the
yeah,
court. He
okay.
was into, here's how I could give
Yeah.
you the forms to
Here's the
start
form,
your
yeah.
clubs and.
but
it's
he
like, oh,
also
that's not what we were-
stated that he could get us some funding too, maybe a donation or something.
yeah, and it,
And Martha's got her hand up. Martha, would you like to add?
Thank you. Yeah, bocce is really, really popular with the senior group. Like was said, they play out on the field, the Browns Court field, where and they really get excited about that. So I think, and you're really, I think there are people you can tap into to build a new court without charging anything. I think that maybe whatever the expense is to pay for the sand or whatever it takes, that might be an expense, but to actually, I think there are volunteers that we could use. I mean, that's what the senior center is all about. And money, well, again, you can ask, and I think it's there if you need it. And gosh, I think bocce is a really popular thing with seniors.
Okay, good.
I think it's worth leaving it on. It's, we're not looking to put us within our budget at this current moment. We're looking for the items that we can remove for now, that we've had plenty of discussion on in terms of the why we may want to remove it or take it off the list. And this one, we won't say that we're voting on keeping it, but we can table it for another day for further discussions. But I think all of these points are very good. That's my opinion.
And
But
I think
that we
we'll
have to
find it,
discuss them,
right.
whether
And I think we'll find out a lot more on town meeting.
And I think there's gonna be more to discuss in terms of, you have good points about roller and if we need to get
Maintenance.
said roller, what that means. So I think I added some additional notes for that column of pricing for maintenance. So
What's our bottom line now?
point. Well,
Do we have a time limit tonight?
Yes, we gotta go because we got things to do.
Yeah.
Brian's got to pack for tomorrow morning.
I think in my opinion, we have gone through the list for a good sweeping today. We are getting closer, but I want to mention that we are also not including pricing for parking lots.
Yeah.
We are not including pricing for any work on a pavilion, bandshell,
Yeah.
et cetera. So I don't want to, overly give excitement to
Oh,
being
yeah.
close.
And I think tabling the discussion about things that maybe volunteers could do that are on this list, like we just
Mhm.
mentioned. People who could perhaps donate benches or donate, this could be the, somebody's memorial bocce court and somebody's memorial bench and some, but that's a whole
And I
nother
think
piece.
I
that
might be
we
able
might
to
not wanna
get
do.
supplies donated for the shed and the people to build it.
Yeah, see, and those are things I think that we will have to discuss. That should be on our next list. I think there are a lot of little things like that we can talk about,
Right.
So,
but it's who's gonna.
And then the
who's gonna do it.
conservation fund, the volunteers.
so for planning for, wrapping up today, planning for the next meeting, I think there's a number of tasks that some of us you're gonna reach out to Josh on the ARPA thing. I'm gonna,
I'm
What?
reaching out to Josh
Okay.
for getting on the select board meeting, 2 items. And then I am reaching out to Spence again,
the ARPA list.
and you've got Pete,
You're gonna do the ARPA listing on this,
just
whoever
to
you
make,
have to email with that.
just to make sure the update is
that
updated.
It's supposed to be 450 for us and
It
on the
is.
ARPA list. Well, that updated one, but that on the
Oh,
site.
fix the website?
Yep. And then if you're already talking to Josh, do you want to talk to him about the baseball field or do you want me to send a separate email? I'm perfectly happy to.
Can you,
Yes.
yeah, because.
Then for our next meeting,
March,
will be-
Thursday, March
is
14th.
that after our meeting?
That's after town
Okay.
meeting.
Like,
Hey, are you gonna be able to be at town meeting?
yes, I take the day off.
I can't, because I've been sick way too much and taking it off.
All right. So I guess the most important thing is
So
to
are
be
you-
there late.
Are you there?
Oh, honey, I'm
Okay,
there.
but you're not,
I'm not.
and you're not now. And so then it'll be, and
Are you there?
Probable,
How late will it
Yeah.
go?
but it all depends what. the
It's really
discussion-
a bizarre meeting this
Yeah.
year. There's so many crazy things that are going on, and we are the very last item. And I'm,
I'll tell
and
you
I'm
after.
gonna ask. No, I'm not gonna ask. I've heard it's possible there might be an amendment to what the select board did. Is that true? I believe there might be an amendment that they take it off and not make it Brown's Court housing, but housing in general for the town of Richmond,
Which is what it was supposed to be.
which is what it was supposed to
the
be.
original.
And I also heard that it's a possibility that someone might get up and make a statement prior to the discussion. And it's not me. And it's not me.
Okay. I have to leave it too.
Okay, I think it's gonna
Hoping
be
it'll be
lunch
by
and I
then,
think it'll be
because-
done.
That's when I have childcare through.
And I just don't know how many motions can be made.
Mm.
And I'll tell you, I'm a little
So
nervous.
my question was more about agenda for the meeting following is
Mhm.
going to be,
I would,
mostly centered around what we won't have had then the meeting with the whole group of that we're talking about for volunteers green.
yeah.
Well,
we-
hopefully our next meeting will be that.
Will be that. Okay,
Yes.
so that's right.
it'll
That's
be the
right.
small
what-
group.
Right,
Agenda, small group. That's
Right.
what I was forgetting.
And then it will be recap of town meeting. It'll be information about the grant, if we've received notification
Mhm.
and how much. Can they change the amount we would receive?
I don't.
Or is
think
it all or
so, but
nothing?
Sherry, are you still there? Yeah.
Oh,
she
Sherry.
is.
So the question is, can they change the amount that we requested for the grant to some other amount, like lower amount, or
Yeah.
is it all?
They could try to negotiate the budget, that's a possibility. Because they basically want you to know what the award is, and then they negotiate the terms of the agreement between the agency and the town of Richmond. So it's possible they could come in with a lower amount. That doesn't generally happen, but it could.
Okay. So we're gonna put you on our agenda next time, just for an update.
Okay.
Thank you.
And you can send, if Mark's already calling you, you don't have to plan on attending if you weren't planning on attending. We appreciate
One of you.
attending.
Well, Sherry's the rec committee, as the
I-
rec
I
committee,
understand,
Mark,
yeah.
we need Mark
As
as
a
the planning
planning.
committee.
So we got 2 people
commission
here.
next time, so.
So, okay, so I think we can adjourn for tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Nay? Nay?
Yay.
Good work,
Thank
everybody.
you,
This is-
everyone.